you have any specialized training in your job as an FBI agent?
I do. I received basic training at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia.
Some officers think they can get away with just about anything, but the scale of Lady Justice spares no one. Watch as the corrupt cop in this video gets caught red-handed in the courtroom and then punished like you wouldn't believe. So you better watch all the way through to see this guilty pig taste the law's boot. This is because on November 9th, 2023, corrupt cop Jamie Knoll got charged with a whopping 31 felonies. When he went on trial, he oozed confidence, but before long, that facade got torn down.
10 C01 2403 MC 634, that being in criminal contempt of Jamie Knoll, and 10 C01 2311 F5 297, that being state of Indiana versus Jamie Knoll. Mr. Boyles, it's my understanding you have the gentleman here that conducted the search of the Knoll properties.
I do, Your Honor. Let the record reflect that on April 17th, after our original contempt hearing, I requested this court to consider appointing an independent person to do a complete, thorough search of all four of the houses that Mr. Knoll had control over.
Knoll must have been panicking because the first witness they brought on was someone you would never expect.
State your name for the record, please.
Todd Brown.
And Mr. Brown, are you retired from the Federal Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been retired?
Since October of 2022.
Okay. And when you were an agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, where were you stationed?
I was stationed first in Louisville, Kentucky, and then after 10 years, I was transferred to the New Albany Resident Agency in New Albany, Indiana.
Okay. Do you have any specialized training in your job as an FBI agent?
I do. I received basic training at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia.
Unfortunately for the greedy cop, the FBI sent someone to investigate him, but what he uncovered is even more shocking.
I ask you if it would be within your capacity to do an inventory of all our client Jamie Knoll's properties that he owned for the purpose of securing any additional weapons that might be there, even though the court didn't authorize that, also to indicate whether any ammunition located in those locations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
They were also located in Jeffersonville?
Yes, all the properties were in Jeffersonville.
Jamie Knoll should have been careful because this agent wasn't going to let him get away with anything.
In order to properly conduct such a search, what did you do? How did you prepare yourself?
After receiving the specific locations, once I got to the first location, I took what I would consider entry photos, which is just general photos of the outside of the property. And then once I entered the residence, I took photos as I moved through the residence.
Okay. And did you conduct it in what I would call an orderly manner, starting on one floor and went to another floor? Is that kind of how you did it?
Yes, yeah.
You better keep watching because you don't want to miss out on all the spicy details of what this FBI agent discovered next.
Well, let's start with the first property that you talked about, which would be 3001 Old Tay Bridge in Jeffersonville. Is that the residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you able to locate any weapons in that home?
I did.
And what did you locate?
I located a Glock 26 pistol, semi-automatic pistol, a Sig Sauer 1911 semi-automatic pistol, and a shotgun.
The Glock 26, did you also take a photograph of where that was located?
They did well getting a professional to investigate because no one else could find this slimy cop's secret hiding spots.
We have a picture up on the screen which would be for the purpose of having you identify the area where that weapon was found. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what room of the house is that?
That is a closet next to the laundry room. As you're looking at the photo, the laundry room is in the background of the photo, and the closet is the main part of the photo.
And that's on the main floor of the house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I noticed that there's a lot of material in that closet. Was that there when you went through it that day?
Yes, sir.
Where was the gun located?
It was so well hidden that our detective would find it impossible to tell you where it was with just words.
It was located in with all these items that are shoved into the closet area here.
Was it on the floor? Was it in an item, or where was it?
Actually, at the time that I located it, I was pulling items out of the closet, and there was a nylon zip case, and I opened the nylon zip case to see what was in it, and that's when there was a gun box inside the zip case. I opened the gun box, and the gun and one magazine was in the box.
Since the court prohibited him from possessing firearms, Jamie Knoll left his properties in unlivable conditions just to hide them.
We're now showing a new photograph of a picture weapon. Can you describe that, please?
Yes, that's the Glock 26 pistol that I found, and that's the manner in which I found it. It was in the box, locked back, and the magazine was in the box also.
And that's the one that came from the closet?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that the photograph of a closet located in the master bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was there a weapon located there?
There was.
And what was the weapon?
It was a 6-hour 1911 semi-automatic pistol.
Okay. And where was that weapon located?
It was located in this area of the floor. There was a pile of stuff on the floor.
Knoll definitely got caught in 4K UHD, so stay tuned because you won't believe what his reaction is.
State's Exhibit 1.
Not states it.
I mean, Defendant's Exhibit 1.
So it's exhibit 1 and then
Right, I'm sorry.
We're always the blue state. Mr. Brown, I'm going to hand you what's been marked for purpose of identification as Defendant's Exhibit 1 and ask you, can you identify that?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That's a thumb drive that contains the photographs that I took from examining all 4 properties.
As crazy as the condition of his house was, stay tuned because what Brown finds next is even crazier.
Describe what it was.
It was a Remington 1187 police model auto-loading shotgun.
And was that weapon loaded when you discovered it?
No, sir, I don't believe it was.
Is that weapon still at the house?
No, sir, to the best of my knowledge, it is not.
Did someone in the house indicated they wanted it removed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was it removed?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And it's currently located in Mr. Wilder's office under his protective custody. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
The lawyer could barely believe how idiotic this corrupt cop's antics were, but what happens next is even more bizarre, so make sure to keep watching.
So those are the entire amount of weapons that you found when you searched all 4 properties. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination, Mr. Hurdle.
If he was allowed to have the shot, why did you remove it?
At the request of his wife.
Was she present when you were there?
She was not.
You spoke to her, though?
No, sir. Paul Meyer spoke to her, and Paul Meyer advised me that she wanted the weapon removed.
And you said Paul Meyer's working on the case. He works for the defense?
Yes, sir.
It seems that Knoll's behavior was so insufferable that even his wife had enough, but his comeuppance is so satisfying you'll want to make sure not to miss out.
Approximately how many rounds of ammunition did you find?
It would be a really rough estimate. I've detailed it in my report. Approximately 5,000 rounds.
What caliber?
Various calibers. They're 9mm, 45, 380, 5.56, 7.62. There could be others. That's what I recall.
This cop couldn't get any more blatant with his court order violations. Still, things are about to take an unexpected twist.
Did you have any contact with the defendant, his wife, or his daughter?
with his daughter,
Which daughter?
Grace.
What was the extent of that contact?
Just to advise that I was at the home.
Had you ever met any of them before?
No, sir.
Had you ever met the defendant before?
I do not specifically recall ever meeting the defendant.
You know things are bad when Noel's own family is working against him, yet the case keeps getting even wilder.
Did you search any vehicles?
I did.
Ammunition or weapons found in any cars, trucks, or other types of vehicles?
No, sir.
Do you recall off the top of your head what vehicles you searched?
There was a Trans Am and a BMW at the residence. Then there were several, what I would call classic cars, older cars.
As if the case wasn't already teetering on absurd, the lavishes of Noel's life as a simple sheriff are truly beyond belief, as you will just see.
Several, more than 10, less than 10?
I would say 10 to 12.
Just how could a simple sheriff like Noel afford all these cars? Be sure to keep your eyes glued to the screen if you want to find out how he did it.
2022,
Yes, sir.
were you able to keep your service revolver or sidearm?
No, sir.
Do you have one you typically carry?
I do.
Do you know where it's at all times?
Yes, sir.
Did you always know where your service sidearm was? It's probably not a revolver, was it?
No, sir. Yes, sir, I did.
So to find a service revolver, I keep saying revolver, service firearm, in a duty belt with other mags, that's not too far-fetched to believe that one would know where that was at, would it? Rhetorical question, you don't have to answer.
Yes, sir.
Just reinforces my decision to impose sanctions.
This foolish cop dug deeper and deeper pits for himself to fall into, and now the judge is exposing all his little mistakes like you wouldn't expect.
Remington shotgun. Was it in a box when you found it?
No, sir.
Was it near a box? A Remington firearm box?
Not that I recall.
Did it still have tags on it?
No, sir.
Where was it at?
I located it in the basement, what I generally term the theater room.
And not loaded?
No, sir.
Not much use for self-defense, is it?
No, sir.
You might expect Noel to get off easy in the end, but this judge was not about to let him get off that easily.
I'm not going to impose any further sanctions today because it was not certified to me that there was no further firearms. But after today, if there's any further firearms found, there will be additional sanctions. So if your client needs to tell you something, he needs to tell you right now. You need to take a few moments and ask.
One thing we would add,
Hold
Your
on.
Honor, is the duty weapon.
Let us get back on. Okay, we're back on now. Go ahead.
The only thing we could add, Your Honor, is there's no weapons in the house now, and the duty weapon was seized on the original search. It was in the console of his car.
Okay.
So the one that was found was not the duty weapon.
Okay.
Thank you.
The judge and prosecutor didn't stop berating the defense just yet, so make sure to stay tuned because you won't want to miss this.
Why was it in a service holster with additional mags? And you don't have to answer that.
Well, because I don't carry guns, so I don't know, Judge. I got a BB gun.
That's all right. Mr. Brown, thank you. And thank you for conducting the search for me. I appreciate it.
I know the court made its decision not to issue any more sanctions, but from the state's perspective, the finding of 2 additional weapons, one a service weapon, one that was loaded, easily accessible, is still concerning and troubling to the state. I know it is to the court as well.
Noel lucked out by the skin of his teeth, but a month later, the judge would give this dirty criminal just the treatment he deserves.
Mr. Stewart, I want you to know I have the greatest respect for your legal knowledge and your knowledge of procedure. You're an intelligent man. I'm going to reiterate this again. I told Mr. Knoll not to do anything stupid, not to deceive me, not to define me. He would not like the consequences. Didn't seem like you listened the first time. You released, and thus I sentenced you to 60 days for contempt.
This judge simply wasn't having it, and he kept tearing into Jamie Knoll. So make sure to keep watching because this is about to get much more interesting.
Your behavior since you were released seems to fit into all these categories. You know, I'm just a country boy from Washington County with a public school education. But when somebody warns me not to do something, I try to heed that warning because we say what we mean up there.
The judge made things personal, but Noel's nightmare was just beginning.
All the while, every day, individuals are trying to survive, working paycheck to paycheck with their own money that they've worked hard for while you're out flaunting the luxuries acquired allegedly at the expense of taxpayers. So with all these luxuries and all the money that you've allegedly taken, I'm thinking about $1.5 million in bond ought to be appropriate. You should be able to post that with no problems with everything that you have.
This was so unexpected that the courtroom went completely silent, and the defense's reaction is simply priceless.
If you don't listen to that, and you post it, I don't know where we're going. That's
There's an increase by 1.5 million, or is it total 1.5?
Oh, do you have that much in the bank of Wilder over
Judge,
there?
I was just trying to figure out my math over here.
We'll make it 1.5 even.
Thank you.
Shall we hold it until you go get it?
I would say Mrs. Wilder probably would have a question about that. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Mr. Stewart, I may be wrong, but my responsibility is to the citizens of Clark County and the state of Indiana.
Things couldn't seem to get worse, but this was just the beginning of the end for the corrupt Jamie Knoll.
Count 31, you understand and admit that between November 9th of 2023 and March 29th of 2024, you knowingly or intentionally exerted unauthorized control over property of the Volunteer Firefighters Association with the intent to deprive the Firefighters Association of the value of the property, and the value of the property was in excess of $50,000. More particularly, there were American Express credit card purchases in the amount of $37,151 and Sam's Club credit card purchases in the amount of $15,667. You understand that that is a violation of the law of the state of Indiana?
Yes, sir.
And that you acknowledge and admit that you committed that offense in count 31, theft is a level 5 felony.
Being forced to admit your heinous crimes in front of the courtroom is bad enough, but Knoll's true punishment will really shock you, so keep watching.
Mr. Harold, do you have any further questions of Mr. Knoll?
Mr. Knoll, you know you don't have to plead guilty to anything today, don't you?
I'm sorry?
You know you don't have to plead guilty to anything today?
Yes, sir. More of that.
It's your choice.
Yes, sir.
You're pleading guilty because you committed these crimes?
Yes, sir.
Nothing else, Judge.
Nothing related to those questions, Judge. Thank you.
This level of honesty is astounding, but just wait and see what's about to go down because it will definitely blow your mind.
As you are well aware, and Mr. Wilder's aware, have rights. And I'd like to hear from some of the victims, or a lot of the victims, at a date in the future in regards to whether they believe that this is an appropriate sentence or whether they don't believe it's an appropriate sentence. I think it appears that Mr. Knoll spent approximately almost 10 years incarcerated with a period of probation.
The judge didn't stop there with taking down this guilty cop. The judge's calmness is going to break down, so just wait and see how he bashes the disgusting cop for his actions.
As I hope Mr. Knowles learned from my previous actions, that I mean what I say and I say what I mean. So, Mr. Hurdle, who may potential victims, and I mean not just management, not just the sheriff's department, I mean EMS workers that have lost their jobs, paramedics that are not out there saving people because the money was diverted for pleasures. I want to hear from people that don't have $800 belts. I want to hear from taxpayers that have been aggrieved by the actions of this individual.
In the end, Noel would truly suffer for all he did. Noel now begins a 15-year prison sentence with 3 of those years suspended to probation. Additionally, included in the plea deal is an agreement for Noel to pay back more than $3.1 million in public funds, $2,870,924 to the Utica Volunteer Firefighters Association, $61,190 to the Clark County Sheriff's Department, $173,155 to the Indiana Department of Revenue, and $35,245 to the Indiana State Police. Noel is also subject to a $270,000 fine determined by Medlock, who tacked on $10,000 for each guilty count. If you loved seeing the streets cleaned and stupidly dirty cops get put in their place, then you better not miss out on this next video, where unsuspecting cops get exposed with video proof for their reckless behavior. And you would never guess what happens next. So do yourself a favor and click on the link to watch it.
You don't know who I am, but I'm gonna have a field day with you.